Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be about TI-10, basically the compendium, predictions, all of that kind of stuff. We're just going to go through it, and I'm going to tell you what I think about the teams, about the predictions, about all the different kind of stuff. So, obviously we have the talent here, whatever, it's not a big deal. Don't want to say anything too much about this. Kind of, my thoughts would be too controversial probably for for the scene or YouTube or whatever anyway, but that's that. We have fantasy here. You just make your predictions. I'll probably do this at the end of the video maybe. It's not a big deal. It's kind of whatever to me. I don't really care too much about that kind of stuff, but this is kind of cool. I like to predict this kind of thing. So I'm going to go through this. We're just going to go through the general predictions, which I already mainly filled out, and then I'm going to give you my kind of thoughts about TI in general and who I think is going to win, all of that kind of thing at the end after we do these predictions. So let's just jump into it here. First, most picked hero. I actually think, I'm not really sure. The problem with most picked hero is what hero is going to be banned a bunch. So we have this kind of pair here, most banned and most picked. I feel like people aren't going to ban Bane. That's why I put Bane here, because Bane is a top support right now. Very, very good. But I just don't think people, I think it's like kind of at this spot where it's not good enough to ban, but it is so good that it's going to be let through and picked a bunch. But I could be completely wrong. Maybe Bane just like falls off completely in the meta. I don't know. Because Bane has, it's been a long time since Bane was really, really that good. And he did get nerfed recently. So we'll see if this is right. I would say it's probably not right. But the most banned hero here, I know Tiny did get a nerf, but Tiny is still really strong. So I would expect actually that Tiny is probably the most banned. Whether it gets banned, first phase or, in the second phase, whatever it is, I just expect Tiny to be banned out by a ton of people because I've heard a lot that IO Tiny, especially Tiny Carry, is just so OP right now, and that's why I put IO as the highest win rate, because I don't think this hero is like overpowered or anything. I don't think it's a super OP hero, but in pro Dota, you can never count out IO really, even despite nerfs and everything. It just can always pair really well with some carries. And since Tiny Carry is a really good thing, I think that it's going to really only be picked in combination with Tiny. And when that happens, I think it's going to win like, a majority of games, like 80% of the games. Like if you let Tiny IO go through, I think it's just going to crush and stomp the games. So that's why I put IO here. Where I think Tiny may be picked other times without IO, so his win rate will not be maybe as good. But IO is just like not going to be picked a ton, but when it is picked, it's paired with a carry that they're just going to stomp the game. And then I also put Tiny as highest kill average because Tiny is kind of one of these carry mid heroes that just like gets a shit ton of kills because of the nature of the hero, just with the burst damage and the insane right click. It's just kind of the way that it is. And Sumail, I think, is the one that has the record for the most amount of kills in a game with Tiny against OG, I believe. It was the game where he tossed Arteezy under the tier 3s and he died, and then OG came back. It was like the upper bracket or something. I think that was the first OG TI win in TI 8. But yeah, so I put Tiny there just because Tiny's popular. Here with highest assist average, I'm going to put Silencer there because he has a lot of AoE spells and things like that. A very popular support pick. So he just gets a lot of assists, I think, because of his curses and things like that in team fights. So I put him. It could be another hero, obviously. We'll just have to see. It's probably a support, obviously, but it could be. We'll see what happens with the support meta because these two heroes are pretty popular right now. But we'll see what happens in TI if they stay that way. Lowest death average, I also put Tiny because Tiny is insanely tanky. This is one of the things that makes him so OP. Is like you pick a carry, like for instance. Obviously, Slark's not a good matchup, but I really like playing Slark. And playing Slark into carry Tiny, it just feels impossible because a lot of times a hero like Slark or a hero like Lifestealer or one of these heroes, they kind of like to feast on big tanky cores like strength cores and things like that because, Slark gets all the stats, Lifestealer does more damage, gets the lifesteal, all of those things. But with Tiny, it almost feels like he just has so much armor and so much HP that you're just kind of tickling him, and it would take like 5 minutes of just hitting him over and over and over again for you to even whittle him down by yourself. So it just feels impossible to kill him. So I think that when he is picked, he's just never going to die. And then here with highest last hits, I think Naga is going to be played situationally. I think it's probably going to be picked by EG for Arteezy because he's been playing a decent amount. It's a decent hero, I think, and so I think this hero is going to get a ton of last hits. I think Arteezy is going to play this a few times, and some other people might play Naga a little bit. And Naga's just one of those heroes that you just farm, so quickly. You farm a crazy amount. I don't think mid or carry alchemist is really a thing right now. I just don't think it's been good the last couple patches. So it's just not really, like 6 months ago maybe, or maybe even before that, it was good, but it just hasn't been good recently. So it's not going to be a huge thing. And then here with the highest XPM average, I just put Void here because Void's a pretty good mid laner, probably one of the better ones right now. And I mean, you could put Bat, you could put Tinker, you could put something else. I don't know. Tinker doesn't get always the most experience because of March. You could put a carry. I just put Void. This is probably a bad pick. It's just kind of like my weird sleeper one that I'm just like, oh, it's a mid hero, and sometimes he can get out of control, but it's probably not the right pick, honestly. I could probably pick something else, but I just put him there. I was just like, whatever. This one I'm just going to choose something random just to see if it works. Here with the most kills, Tiny again, and that's because the Sumail thing last time, Tiny just is insane, bursts people down, so I'm picking Tiny. And then heroes with the most lasteds in a game, I mean, I'm going to pick Naga if I pick Naga as the highest lasted average, so I put those there. So that's basically my predictions here for heroes. Next, we're going to do teams. So for teams, we have which team will win. I'm going to pick LGD. And the reason for this is just because I think LGD is super strong. I was actually going to either pick LGD or probably IG. I think the sleepers are Secret and EG. Not the sleepers, but like the second tier are the Western teams, EG and Secret. I think they are pretty good and have a chance to either, I think they'll be like top 3, finals, whatever. But I just think IG and LGD are both stronger. I just pick LGD because they've been stronger recently. IG was strong in the past. Obviously, they beat EG, and then LGD beat EG in the past 2 majors. But I don't like it when teams do really well, and then they kind of sit around and don't do much. But sometimes that ends up being good for some teams, but not good for others. So we'll just see how that works out to see which one's stronger. But I'm picking LGD, at least for now. I think my sleeper pick to win the whole thing, that's like kind of a qualified team or a qualifier team, is basically Elephant. It's the Chinese team that has like their roster's just stacked and should be really good. They just haven't kind of performed to the level that you would expect them to be compared to like LGD and IG and some of these other teams like Aster and stuff like that. But I think they could just randomly show up at this tournament and just dominate everybody. So that's my prediction for the win. I think there's a few other teams. I'm not going to say that a OG is going to be a top team to win. I just don't think it is the case. I think my personal opinion is Ana is the best player in the world. For whatever reason, he's just like a robot, like a complete and utter robot, and the guy is just stomps games. Like him combined with Tops and mid, who's just like crazy and does ridiculous things, is like a perfect combination. And then you have Seb, who's like really, really good with the like mental part of the game and like encouraging the team. And then also, I'm not sure that Saksa necessarily is a good replacement for JRX. So, and then, I mean, I like Sumail. I really, really like Sumail. I think he's a really good player. I just don't know that the team meshes in the same way. And I don't think they're going to have the same advantages and all of those kinds of things. But I do pick them to have the most kills in the game because that's kind of how they play. They play run-at-you style, and I think that Sumail can fit that style, and I think that's something that's going to happen. So they are going to play like a kill game, which is something that they do, and they just run at people, and they get kills, and they go all over the map and go crazy, and I think that's something that's going to happen still. I just don't think it's going to be enough, and I don't think they have these... I mean, we'll have to see, but I don't know if they're going to have these pocket strats like IO carry and all that kind of stuff to pull out. But, maybe they will. That's why I put them with highest kills and highest kill average. Team with the fewest deaths, I'm going to put EG, and that's because EG, for whatever reason, they just love to like farm all game and not participate in fights and just like split the map and do all that kind of stuff. Now, sometimes they get picked off in side lanes and all those things, but I just feel like they play a way more passive style, and so they're just going to not engage in fights as much, so that's why I picked them. Team with the most assists, I just put IG just because I think they play really coordinated. I was going to pick like someone like LGD, IG. I think if you have a lot of assists, that just means that you're playing really well. You have high kill average, but you're getting coordinated as a team. You could pick OG here if you were going to pick this too, but I just put that there. Team that wins the longest game, I just also picked OG here because I think that like this is just the quintessential OGs. They like have these super long games, but at the same time, like I said, that was with Ana, and he's just like so good for whatever reason at coming from behind and like showing up in the late game and just dominating games, and that just always seems to happen. So we'll see if that happens still, but that's why I picked them. Team that wins the shortest game, I just pick LGD because I'm picking them to win. I'm like, if they're going to dominate, then they're going to dominate, and they're just going to crush some teams. Some of these like lower tier teams are just going to obliterate them. Team with the highest game length, I'm picking EG here because of the same reason I'm picking fewest deaths. They like to just like farm. They like to get all of their cores big, and they don't like pressure and fight as much as some other teams, I feel like. So that's why I'm picking them to have the highest game length average overall. Team that picks the most different heroes, I'm sure there's a correct pick here. I just picked IG. I don't know if this is right. I'm sure there's some like statistic. I just didn't even look it up. You could correct me. Maybe if someone wants to comment and correct me, which team is like the team that's like this 4-position player plays like 1,000 different heroes every game. I don't know the statistics there. I'm sure there is one, like VP or something. I don't know. Some team that I'm not thinking of that picks like different heroes every game. I will say it's not EG. Probably I feel like they pick the same heroes all the time. I just picked IG. I was thinking maybe one Chinese team that I don't know a ton about is just going to pick a lot of heroes because I do feel like IG is pretty versatile, but maybe, there's another team that I'm not thinking of. And then, team that picks the fewest heroes, EG. I just think that they like to stick with what they like. They have their heroes they like to play, and then obviously they have Bulba drafting, and basically Bulba drafts Keck L is pretty much what I'm going to say. I am an EG fan, basically, but Bulba just like loves to only draft the same exact thing like over and over and over again. Even if it like doesn't work, he just like keeps doing it. And you could say that it kind of there's a small problem with that, and that it is sometimes, not working out the best for them, but that's just how it is. So that's kind of what I'm going to put there. I'm going to put EG as picking the fewest different heroes. So those are my predictions for the teams. And like I said, I think LGD is going to win, but I think you could pick IG just as easily, or maybe even EG or Secret as kind of the second tier possibilities. And that's another thing. We'll see what happens with Secret. Secret might pop out and be insane. I think they kind of have been chilling a little bit, and they might like just show up and be ridiculous. So I'm going to pick here player with highest kill average. I'm going to go with Ame, just because I think he's obviously a really, really good player, and I just think if LGD is going to win, then he might just be that kind of player in the game. Most kills in a game, since Sumail had it before, I'm going to pick Sumail again. Lowest death average, I kind of pair that with the kill average. I think it's just going to be Ame. If he just plays really, really well, then I'll just pick him and put him there. Player with the highest assist average, I'm going to put Crit, even though I put like Silencer as the highest assists, and that's kind of a 5 position. I just think Crit is just probably one of the best, if not the best 4 position. He just gets so involved, and Earth Spirit is pretty good, which he plays, and Earth Spirit can get a crap ton of assists just with the nature of that hero. So I'm going to put Crit there. Player with the most assists in the game, I'm just going to put FY here. Because, FY is a god. It's FY god, and he could just, like, suddenly pop off randomly and just have insane assists. So, I don't know. We'll just see. I just kind of randomly picked that. I could also pick Crit there. So, now I picked Arteezy for all of these. Highest last hit average, highest last hits in a game, highest GPM, and player with highest GPM average. I'm picking all of these basically because of, one, Naga. He's been spamming Naga. He's been playing it a lot. I picked Naga as highest last hit, highest all those things, basically because I think Arteezy is going to play it a decent amount, and just with the nature of how EG plays, they usually pick him some kind of hero like this, where he just loves to farm and just like, get a ton of last hits, and they basically just make a ton of space for him, and he doesn't get super involved in the game. So I'm just like picking him for all of these categories, and I think they all go hand in hand. And then, player that plays the most different heroes, I'm going to put Matumba Man there. And so that's why I could have, like, if back here, I could put maybe Secret. I might change that. I don't know. But I just know that Matumba Man is one of those guys that plays a lot of heroes, and he can mix it up. So I just know that's a thing. I don't know if with his position or meta or how the team works, if they're going to do that, if he's just going to play his same heroes all the time, or if he's going to mix it up. I don't know. But I just pick him because I think it's a possibility that he could play a ton of heroes and we'll see if he like goes mid, goes safe lane. We'll see how they mix up their roles. I don't really know exactly if they're going to do that in this meta, but it could be a possibility. So I just picked him there. It's just kind of interesting that Secret isn't like on a lot of people's radar, but they could dominate this TI. We'll just have to see. So then lastly, we have the tournament predictions. These are all just weird, rough ones. Total number of games played. 45 to 49 at the main event. I just think that there's enough teams that are better than the other teams that are like kind of far and away better, that there's not going to be a lot of, I mean, there's going to be like a middle of the road amount of, they're just going to err on the side of 2 zeros basically. But not like a ton. It's going to be in the middle somewhere. Obviously, these two are the best ones to pick, but it's just whether or not you think there's going to be more 2-0s or more 2-1s. Total number of heroes picked. I picked 81 to 90. I think that it could even be this. I just feel like there's so much diversity in the availability of picks right now, or in general, or in Dota over the past few years, is that people are always going to try something. So I just feel like this is a very high probability that people are going to pick a lot of stuff. I put total number of heroes banned at a little bit less, just because I don't know if this is like reasonable, but just because there seems to be less heroes at times. Like, you ban a lot of the same heroes in the first phase, and then there's only a limited amount of heroes that you would want to ban out in the next phases to like stop people from picking. So I just don't think that there's going to be a ton of different heroes banned, but there could be more. We'll just have to see. This might be it might be, because sometimes you'll just get like random heroes that don't get picked, but they will get banned. So, maybe this is not a very good prediction. It should be like 101 plus. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Most combined total kills in a game. I just think that there's going to be some long games that have insane high kill counts. It's just bound to happen. So I put a prediction that's a little bit higher up there. Longest game in the tournament. I put 70 minutes. And I put 70 minutes. I think this is probably the safest bet, because it's right in the middle, but it's right after the hour mark. So it's like right after teams get tier 5 items, and then the game closes out. So basically the game will close out right after the hour mark. So I think we are going to see a game that hits 1 hour, but I think then once those tier 5 items come in, the game just will end in 10 minutes. So that's why I put that. Shortest game of the tournament. I think this is a pretty safe bet. It's either this or this, probably. Almost certainly no one's going to call GG before 15 minutes. And then this is more likely. It's basically which one of these you think someone's going to absolutely obliterate and stomp somebody, which I think will probably happen, or that the teams are a little more even and something will happen, around this minute mark. But I just think that someone will stomp somebody into the ground. We'll just have to see, though. So most kills by a hero. I just think I don't really know. I don't know what Sumail's record was, but I think that we're going to see a lot of kills in these games, especially with things like Tiny and stuff. I think we're going to see a high kill count. Most deaths by a hero in a game. I'm going to put this. I think this is kind of reasonable. It's a lot, but if we have a long game going and there's like a really squishy support that's just going to get blown up, I think it's going to happen. So, and especially like I said, with things like Tiny and other stuff like that can just annihilate supports in 2 seconds, I definitely think there are some supports that are going to feed. Most assists, I'm going on the higher end again. I just think the higher end is always better, especially if you have later games, which are definitely a possibility. So, I don't know. I just picked that one. And then highest GPM by a hero, I picked 800 to 900 or 899, basically because even though Arteezy has a Naga that he's probably going to play, there's no Alchemist is not going to be a thing. Maybe Alchemist offlane or support, but I don't think Alchemist core is going to be a thing. So I don't think 1,000 plus GPM is going to happen. And the Naga could get that, but I just don't think against a lot of these pro teams and pro players that he's going to get that space. So it's probably going to be somewhere in here, 800 plus or 900 plus that his Arteezy's Naga is going to sit in. I just am betting on that to be the one, but it could be any other hero. It could be someone else and some other hero that surprises me. So that is the International Compendium, and those are my predictions. Obviously, let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree, what you think about everyone or all the teams in the international, what you think they're going to do, how good they're going to be, if they're going to go far or go, who do you think's underrated, overrated, those kinds of things. I just think EG and Secret are kind of these sleeper ones. I mean, obviously EG's been good, but I think those two could definitely win in terms of Western teams. And then IG and LGD are the big ones. Elephant is a sleeper team for me. I'm not a huge fan of T1. I just don't think, Vici could be good. I think they're maybe a little sleeper. I'm not a huge fan of Fnatic either. I don't think they're all that great. And then obviously I don't like most of the South American teams, or Undying or Quincy. They don't have a shot, I don't think. Aster, I don't mind them, but I don't think they're the best. And T1, like I said, VP I don't think is that great. So I just think, and then OG is the one where I just don't think they're going to be at, I just think they're going to be I mean, we'll see what happens because it's obviously a mental game, but without the crowd, I think the crowd helps them because it's almost like puts pressure on the enemy team and they just have like this aloofness where they're able to play really well, but I just don't think they're going to have that without the crowd. So, yeah, those are my predictions. That's TI. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are as well. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch it. And as always, guys, like, comment, subscribe if you like the video, all those kinds of things. Join the Discord. Request replays if you haven't. Get coaching for my Patreon below if you haven't. I'm doing the replays every Friday. My Twitch is below now and all the videos. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.